You sit in the cold, sterile light of a doctor's office, staring at a single piece of paper. You look at the letters printed next to your name. A, B, A, B, or O. You completely ignore them, assuming they only matter if you are lying bleeding on an operating table after a catastrophic car crash. But that assumption is a massive, life-threatening biological illusion. If you ignore that specific genetic barcode, you are completely blind to the exact, microscopic weapon your body is actively using to aid your organs. Clinical hematology and genetic epidemiology reveal that your exact blood type is not just a hospital logistics tag. It is a dormant evolutionary switch that dictates, with terrifying precision, exactly which terminal disease is most likely to kill you. Today, we are going to medically rank the exact blood types of the human race, from the absolute highest risk of catastrophic systemic failure down to the most resilient biological armor. We are going to decode how simply knowing your letter can allow you to instantly reverse cardiovascular decay, shield your brain from cognitive death, and outsmart your own genetic destiny. To understand why a simple letter can control the biological clock ticking inside your cells, you have to completely abandon everything you think you know about your own veins. We are culturally programmed to view blood as a passive, neutral liquid. We assume that if we eat vegetables and go for a run, our blood is healthy. But your blood is not a neutral liquid. It is a massive, highly complex, 10-pound liquid organ. It is a sprawling biological highway system that physically touches every single tissue, every single muscle fiber, and every single neuron in your body. And floating inside this massive liquid organ are 25 trillion red blood cells. If you zoom in close enough, down to the microscopic surface of a single red blood cell, you will see that it is not a smooth, perfectly round sphere. The surface is aggressively covered in millions of tiny complex sugar and protein structures sticking out like microscopic jagged trees. These structures are called antigens. Think of these antigens as heavily encrypted biological security badges. If you have type A blood, you possess the A security badge. If you have type B, you possess the B badge. If you are type AB, you inherited a highly complex cellular structure carrying both badges. And if you are type O, your red blood cells are completely bald. The O literally stands for zero. You have absolutely zero A or B antigens on your cellular surface. Right now, a quiet internal monologue of doubt is likely whispering in your mind. You think to yourself, how can a microscopic sugar molecule on my blood cell cause me to develop a disease? My lifestyle choices determine my health, not a random letter I was born with. This is the psychological friction you must overcome. Your lifestyle pulls the trigger, but your blood type loads the exact caliber of the bullet. Let us begin the medical ranking with the blood type that carries the absolute highest, most terrifying risk for catastrophic systemic decay. Rank number 4. The rarest blood type on planet Earth, found in less than 5% of the human population, type AB. If you possess type AB blood, you are carrying the most biologically complex blood in existence. But that complexity comes with a devastating, highly dangerous physical trade-off. From a purely cardiovascular and cognitive standpoint, type AB is a biological time bomb. To understand why, you have to look at the sheer, terrifying physics of how this specific blood moves through space. Deep inside your circulatory system, the inner lining of your blood vessels is called the endothelium. It is an incredibly delicate, single layer of cells designed by evolution to be perfectly, immaculately smooth, allowing blood to rush through with absolute zero friction. But because your type AB blood carries both the A and the B antigens, your genetic code forces your biology to behave completely unexpectedly. Your endothelial cells are biologically commanded to synthesize and release up to 30% more of a highly specialized coagulation protein called von Willebrand factor, alongside massively elevated levels of clotting factor VIII. Imagine von Willebrand factor as a microscopic, highly aggressive biological Velcro. It is an absolute evolutionary superpower in a primitive, violent world. If you are slashed by a predator, this massive flood of biological Velcro causes your blood to clot instantly, sealing the wound and saving your life. But in the modern, highly sedentary world, this biological glue is a catastrophic, silent assassin. Because type AB individuals have massive amounts of this glue constantly circulating through their system, their blood is physically thicker. It is a highly viscous, sticky, heavy fluid. As this thick fluid navigates the tiny, winding corridors of your frontal lobe and your hippocampus, the biological Velcro begins to violently catch and snag. Microscopic, completely invisible blood clots, known clinically as microthrombi, begin to form and wedge themselves into your neural pathways. These tiny dams completely block blood flow to highly localized clusters of neurons. Those neurons, instantly starved of oxygen, quietly and permanently die off. You do not feel a massive stroke. You do not collapse to the ground. This is a silent, microscopic assassination happening deep inside your consciousness. Massive clinical neurological studies have terrifyingly confirmed that individuals with type AB blood have a staggering 82% higher risk of developing severe cognitive decline, memory loss, and full-blown dementia compared to other blood types. Your brain is not naturally shutting down. It is being mechanically choked to death, suffocated by the heavy, sticky genetic glue of your own blood type. Furthermore, this sticky blood massively elevates your risk of deep vein thrombosis and fatal pulmonary embolisms. If you sit on an airplane for 6 hours, your thick blood is actively pooling and preparing to clot. If type AB is the ultimate cognitive threat, the next blood type on our list shifts the destruction directly to the center of your chest. Rank number 3, type A. Type A blood shares the same terrifying physical viscosity as type AB. It is heavily loaded with that exact same biological Velcro, the von Willebrand factor. But while type AB suffers in the brain, type A blood aggressively targets the heart. The cardiologist slid the heavy 50-year longitudinal study across the stainless steel table, pointing a trembling pen at a steeply dropping, jagged red line. "We spent billions of dollars trying to cure heart disease by telling people to stop eating butter," he said, his voice laced with profound disbelief. "But look at this specific cohort. The patients with type A blood aren't just dying earlier. Their internal coronary plumbing is physically tearing itself apart, and it is entirely because of the sheer, suffocating friction of their own blood. As your heart violently pumps the thick, sticky type A fluid into your arteries, it physically drags and scrapes against the inner endothelial walls. It creates massive, relentless mechanical friction. Over years and decades, this relentless friction creates microscopic tears in the inner lining of your blood vessels. Your immune system attempts to patch these bleeding tears with circulating cholesterol and calcium, forming hardened, lethal arterial plaque. You are physically rusting from the inside out. Clinical data shows that type A individuals have a significantly higher risk of developing severe coronary artery disease and suffering from massive, sudden heart attacks. But the cardiovascular rust is only half of the biological terror for type A. Deep inside your stomach, your specific antigens make you highly vulnerable to a completely different type of cellular mutation. Individuals with type A blood have a clinically documented, massively elevated risk of developing gastric cancer. Biologists believe that the specific A antigen on the surface of your gastric cells violently interacts with environmental toxins and highly processed foods, triggering a massive, hyperaggressive inflammatory response that actively damages your cellular DNA, causing the cells to rapidly mutate into malignant tumors. You survive the heart attack, but you age through the slow, agonizing cellular mutation of your own digestive tract. This brings us to a strange, highly unpredictable middle ground in the genetic landscape. Rank number 2, type B. If you possess type B blood, your biological vehicle behaves in a deeply anomalous way. You have less of the sticky coagulation factor than type A and AB, meaning your risk of massive blood clots and sudden heart attacks is lower. Your blood flows with relatively less friction. But your specific genetic barcode makes you a highly visible, brilliantly illuminated target for some of the most aggressive, lethal diseases in modern medicine. The absolute most terrifying vulnerability of type B blood lies deep inside your abdomen, hidden behind your stomach, your pancreas. Clinical epidemiological studies have revealed a staggering, terrifying link between the B antigen and the development of pancreatic cancer. Pancreatic cancer is one of the most lethal, fast-moving, and undetectable cancers on the planet. Researchers discovered that the specific structure of the B antigen acts like a microscopic beacon for systemic inflammation. When your pancreas is stressed by a highly processed, high-sugar diet, the B antigens on your pancreatic cells trigger an exaggerated, hyperactive immune response. Your immune system floods the pancreas with toxic, inflammatory cytokines. This chronic, low-grade, burning inflammation actively damages the DNA of the pancreatic tissue, accelerating the growth of malignant cells. Furthermore, type B individuals exhibit a bizarre, highly specific vulnerability to certain neurological autoimmune diseases. Because the B antigen physically resembles certain bacterial and viral structures, your immune system frequently gets completely confused. If you contract a standard viral infection, your immune system creates antibodies to destroy the virus. But because your own B antigens look exactly like the virus, your newly minted antibodies suddenly turn around and violently attack your own healthy nervous system. You develop chronic, unexplainable nerve pain, profound fatigue, and severe autoimmune flare-ups simply because your immune system cannot tell the difference between the invader and your own biological security badge. As you process this terrifying mechanical reality, an obvious, highly logical conclusion forms in your mind. If types A, B, and AB are sticky, fast-aging, inflammatory death traps, then the people with the longest, most vibrant, most resilient lifespans must absolutely be the universal donors. The people with the bald cells. This brings us to rank number 1, the blood type with the absolute lowest risk of systemic cardiovascular failure, type O. When longevity scientists study centenarians, those incredibly rare human beings who physically live past the age of 100, they consistently find a massive, disproportionately high number of people walking around with type O blood. The biological reason for this extreme longevity is incredibly simple and entirely mechanical. Because type O red blood cells are completely bald, totally lacking the A and B antigens, the body produces significantly lower, almost baseline levels of von Willebrand factor. Type O blood is naturally incredibly thin. It is a slick, fast-moving, highly hydrodynamic fluid. It rushes through the cardiovascular system with almost absolute zero mechanical resistance. The inner lining of their arteries remains perfectly smooth, pristine, and completely free of the shear, tearing friction that causes arterial plaque buildup. Their risk of deep vein thrombosis, fatal pulmonary embolisms, and massive sudden heart attacks is significantly lower than the rest of the entire human population. From a purely cardiovascular perspective, type O blood is the absolute biological holy grail of human longevity. But biology demands a profound, unforgiving, and deeply agonizing equilibrium. Type O blood is not invincible. While your heart and your brain might be completely shielded from the sticky rust of coagulation, your massive biological vulnerability lies deep inside the dark, acidic cavern of your digestive tract. Because type O blood lacks the complex A and B antigens, the complex sugars that make up their cell surface are completely exposed and raw. Deep inside your stomach lining, there is an ancient, highly aggressive, corkscrew-shaped bacterium called Helicobacter pylori. This pathogen has co-evolved with humanity for hundreds of thousands of years, but it actively hunts for the specific, naked biological markers found exclusively on the gastric cells of people with type O blood. Once the bacterium locks onto your exposed type O tissue with the grip of a microscopic vice, it begins drilling violently into your stomach lining. It actively secretes highly toxic, inflammatory enzymes that physically burn massive, bleeding holes through the protective mucosal layer of your stomach. This is exactly why individuals with type O blood have a massive, disproportionately high risk of developing severe, bleeding gastric ulcers. Furthermore, the exact same thin, fast-moving blood that protects type O individuals from blood clots becomes a catastrophic liability in major trauma. If a type O individual is severely injured, their blood absolutely refuses to clot quickly. They have the highest risk of bleeding to death, technically known as massive hemorrhagic shock, from injuries that other blood types would easily survive. You survive the heart attack, but you suffer through the relentless, inflammatory decay of your own digestive system and the constant threat of uncontrollable bleeding. As we stare deeply into this genetic mirror, a massive, overarching philosophical question emerges. If these blood types carry such devastating, highly specific fatal weaknesses, why would evolution allow them to exist at all? Why wouldn't nature just optimize the entire human race to have one perfect, indestructible, flawless blood type? The answer is found in the brutal, violent, unforgiving history of human survival. Your blood type is not a mistake. It is an ancient war medal. Millions of years ago, humanity faced catastrophic, global microbial threats. During the terrifying, world-ending outbreaks of cholera, the deadly bacteria specifically targeted the bald cells of type O individuals, causing them to rapidly dehydrate, collapse, and die in massive numbers. But the people with type A and type B blood, with their thicker, highly antigen-coated cells, were biologically shielded from the cholera toxin. The bacteria could not latch on. They survived, passing their sticky, fast-aging blood down through the generations. Conversely, in the massive, tropical, malaria-infested swamps of early human migration, the exact opposite occurred. The malaria parasite aggressively invades red blood cells and causes them to violently stick together in massive, lethal clumps. Because type A and B blood is already incredibly sticky with von Willebrand factor, a malaria infection was an absolute, instant death sentence. But the thin, slick, bald type O blood categorically refused to clump. The type O individuals walked straight through the malaria zones and survived. You are currently carrying the exact genetic barcode that allowed your specific ancestors to survive the absolute deadliest, most horrific plagues on planet Earth. The fact that your blood type causes you to age in a specific, mechanical way today in the modern world is simply the collateral damage of a prehistoric, life-or-death survival strategy. Evolution does not care if you develop dementia when you are 80 years old. It only cares that you live long enough to pass on your DNA. But as this genetic reality settles heavily into your mind, a dangerous, deeply ingrained societal myth immediately tries to offer you a fake biological shortcut. You remember a massive, multi-million copy best-selling book from 20 years ago. The internal monologue kicks in with desperate hope. Wait. If my blood type completely controls my disease risk, I just need to eat the blood type diet. If I am type A, my ancestors were farmers, so I must eat a strict plant-based vegan diet. If I am type O, my ancestors were hunters, so I must consume massive amounts of raw red meat. If I eat the wrong food, the lectins will violently react with my antigens and cause my blood to physically clump together and rot my organs. This is one of the most pervasive, highly profitable, and entirely destructive misconceptions in the modern wellness industry, and it is completely, scientifically false. We must break this myth right now. The myth states that the specific lectins, the proteins found in your food, will violently and mechanically react with your blood type if you eat the wrong diet. The scientific reality is that massive, rigorous clinical trials have completely and utterly dismantled this theory. Researchers took thousands of human beings of all different blood types and placed them on the various, strict dietary protocols. The results were shocking and undeniable. The specific antigens on your red blood cells have absolutely zero mechanical reaction to the lectins in your food. When individuals with type A blood ate the high-meat, low-carb type O diet, their cardiometabolic markers did not violently crash. When type O individuals ate the plant-based, heavy carbohydrate type A diet, their blood did not clump and their organs did not rot. The people who went on the blood type diet did not get healthier because they were magically matching their food to their microscopic cellular antigens. They got healthier because the diet forced them to completely stop eating highly processed, synthetic garbage, refined sugars, and highly inflammatory seed oils. They lost weight and reduced systemic inflammation because they accidentally stumbled into a caloric deficit composed entirely of whole, natural foods. You cannot hack your genetic barcode by completely avoiding tomatoes or dairy, but you can absolutely, scientifically, outsmart the exact mechanical weaknesses of your genetic code by directly treating the physical realities of your blood flow. This is the ultimate practical application of genetic science. If you know you have type A or type AB blood, you must accept the harsh physical reality that your blood is inherently sticky and highly prone to dangerous clotting. Your entire longevity protocol must revolve around constant, aggressive, mechanical vascular dilation. You must rigorously engage in Zone 2 cardiovascular training every single week. The sustained, rhythmic pumping of your heart forces your endothelial cells to release massive, continuous waves of nitric oxide. This miraculous biological gas violently expands the diameter of your blood vessels, keeping them wide open and perfectly smooth, physically neutralizing the sticky, dragging friction of the von Willebrand factor. You must also flood your cellular membranes with high-dose, high-quality omega-3 fatty acids from wild-caught fish or algae, which act as a direct, biological blood thinner, physically preventing those deadly microclots from ever forming in the delicate pathways of your brain. If you know you have type O blood, you must accept that your cardiovascular system is an absolute hydrodynamic masterpiece, but your internal gastrointestinal lining is a highly vulnerable, exposed target. Your entire anti-aging strategy has absolutely nothing to do with eating massive amounts of red meat. It is entirely about ruthless, uncompromising gut protection. You must consume highly potent, living fermented foods every single day. You are not eating them for basic digestion. You are physically deploying a massive, microscopic bacterial army into your stomach to aggressively crowd out and destroy any invasive H. pylori bacteria before they can violently latch onto your exposed cells. You must protect your mucosal lining and categorically avoid the chronic, daily use of harsh pain relievers that strip away your biological shield. If you are type B, your focus must be on fierce, systemic anti-inflammatory regulation. Because your pancreas is vulnerable and your immune system is highly prone to confusion, you must aggressively manage your blood sugar spikes. You must prioritize deep, restorative sleep, which acts as the ultimate immune modulator, preventing your confused antibodies from attacking your own nervous system. However, this deep biological architecture sounds incredibly deterministic, but it comes with a severe, life-saving limitation that you absolutely must understand. Your blood type is a genetic risk factor. It is absolutely not a death sentence. The science of epigenetics proves that while your DNA loads the gun, your environment pulls the trigger. If you have type O blood, but you sit on the couch for 10 hours a day, smoke cigarettes, and eat ultra-processed trans fats, your thin blood will not save you. You will violently destroy your smooth endothelial lining and trigger a massive heart attack regardless of your antigens. If you are type AB, but you train your cardiovascular system like an elite athlete, you will force your body to build thousands of new collateral blood vessels, completely bypassing the threat of microclots. You cannot change your letter, but you have absolute, uncompromising control over the expression of your genes. If you use your blood type as an excuse for your poor health, you are surrendering your most powerful biological weapon. As you sit there, feeling the steady, rhythmic pulse of your own blood vibrating deep inside your wrists, a profound, perspective-shattering realization should firmly anchor your mind. For years, you have viewed the aging process and the onset of disease as a completely random, entirely unavoidable decay. You thought your lifespan was nothing more than a blind, terrifying genetic lottery ticket. You felt entirely helpless against the invisible, ticking clock of your own mortality, waiting for an unpredictable, catastrophic failure of your internal organs. But the deep, mechanical truth of your biology proves that this helplessness is a massive, fabricated illusion. You are not broken, and you are not randomly falling apart. You are simply operating a highly specific, ancient biological vehicle that comes with an exact, perfectly predictable set of mechanical vulnerabilities. When you blindly ignore your genetic blueprint, you accelerate the internal rust, you violently tear the blood vessels, and you actively suffocate your own brain tissue. But when you finally understand the exact, microscopic physics of your own blood flow, you gain the absolute power to manipulate the machinery. You possess, circulating entirely dormant within your veins right now, the exact genetic code that successfully survived the absolute darkest, most brutal extinction events in human history. You do not have to accept the default speed of your own aging. You just need to read the barcode, respect the friction, and finally, teach your ancient blood how to survive and thrive in the modern world.